Welcome everyone to a special quarantine edition of the FilmSoc Radio Show. We'll introduce ourselves. How should we introduce ourselves? How about the last film we've seen?
Okay,
Okay, so my name is Devon. I'll be your host, and the last film I saw was The Platform. I saw it. Finally.
He's going next.
Whoever. Oh yeah, we don't have a clockwise.
Yeah, on my screen it's Devon, me, Alex, Peter, Miles. So,
that's our order.
Okay, Alex, then Peter, then Miles. I'm Kat, and the most recent film that I watched was Brokeback Mountain.
Oh.
I have not seen that.
I've never seen that.
Oh, yay, good.
I know. Anyway, we'll introduce first.
Yeah.
I'm Alex, and the last movie I saw was Zodiac.
Oh.
I'm Peter, and the last film I saw was The Host.
Oh.
I'm Miles, and the last film I saw was Hannah.
I want to ask everyone about all these films.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. Talk about the film that you last saw, because I want to know all your opinions on all of those.
Who's going to go first?
I don't know. Same order?
Same order.
Okay, yeah. Devon, do you want to go first with yours?
Oh, okay. I really like The Platform. I really liked it. It's the basic premise is a guy wakes up in this sort of facility where he's on a floor. There's like a single room that he's in with one other guy, and there's a hole in the floor and a hole in the ceiling. And if he looks down, he just sees rooms going all the way down, which are exactly the same layout. And if he looks up, there's rooms going all the way up. And every day, a platform will descend through the rooms and stop at each one. And it has a feast of food, but it's the same feast of food descending one by one. So everyone's sharing the same feast of food during their time in this facility. And that's all you need to know.
That's I can't even really imagine that. Like, I feel like that's such a very, very visual thing. Like, I can't even...
I'm curious to know what's the name of the facility in English, because they changed. So the name in Spanish, the title of the movie, because it's a Spanish movie, the name is The Hole. That's the the literal translation, and that's because they called the facility The Hole.
Yeah, that's what they call it in the... Well, actually, I saw the Spanish version with English subs, but in the English subs, they called it The Hole.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so good, right? What?
It talks about very similar things to Parasite.
Yeah.
And I think Parasite talks about them better overall, but with Parasite, I was really let down with the third act. With The Platform, it ends in exactly the way it should. I was really impressed by the whole thing. It was just really, really good. I recommend that. That's my recommendation of the week. Go see that.
I have one more question about that.
Okay.
Because I had a long debate about this. What do you think about taking the book? Because essentially all the characters can take one thing with them to the hole, and the main character decides to take a book, and he's criticized throughout the movie because he took a book to a place like that, and things happen. But what do you think about the decision?
As in, what do I think about it from his perspective or a storytelling perspective?
Both.
From his perspective, it was really not a good decision because you're going to get sick of that book. It's like, listening to one song for the rest of your life. What, sorry?
He's supposed to be there for 3 months. That book, you need 6 months to read. That's the longest book in Spanish history. Oh, damn. Okay.
Well, I didn't know that. But from a storytelling perspective, it's perfect for his character and his role. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. I've talked enough. Someone else talk.
Alex,
Yeah.
what do you say that because you think that it was right for him to do that or wrong, or
I think
sorry, yeah.
I think it is a good decision to take a book. I don't understand why the people criticize him. I don't think there's someone who takes a surfing board to a hole.
Right.
I mean, I
Well,
think
I
taking a book
suppose-
is more, because you can entertain yourself, you can put your mind on elsewhere, you know, and in the end, even if you finish that book on time before you get out, you can reread it because that's how long it is. And I don't know, I don't think it's a bad decision. I think it's a really smart choice.
See, they're quite ambiguous on how much the people going in know about the facility. But
Yeah.
if I was going to something like that, I think I'd choose something which is a bit more emergent in its like
Yeah,
its way of applying than a
does-
book.
he does say that he doesn't know what he's going into. Like, he didn't know that was what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
There's only one person who apparently knows, and she chooses to take a dog.
Yeah, but she has her other reasons about that.
Yeah.
The more you talk about it, the more it makes me want to watch it.
It's so
Really
good. It's so good.
Especially if you liked Parasite and what Parasite was talking about. And I think it's quite interesting kind of comparing the Spanish way of talking about class to the Korean way of talking about class to something like Knives Out and the American way of talking about class. And you can kind of, they're all talking about similar things. Knives Out is a lot less kind of in depth about it, but you know, it's they make a good trilogy, I think, in terms of discussion.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, Kat, what did you think of Brokeback Mountain? Because it's been one of those films that I've heard about so many times and just never seen.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. So I was the exact same until I watched it. I realized, I thought, okay, I've not actually been watching any movies that much during the whole situation. I've just been watching TV shows, so I wanted to watch stuff that I've had on my list for a really long time. And there's two movies, were Tale of Princess Kaguya and Brokeback Mountain. And Brokeback Mountain I can completely understand why people talk about it so much, because like it's one of those films that like every performance is good, every person that brings something new, and like I don't want to be too like soppy about it, but some of the like love scenes are just really, really like heart-wrenching, and like really, and not even necessarily like, I mean, it's set in the 1960s, so of course, like, and obviously, like, just for you all know the plot, that it's like about two guys that kind of realize they have feelings for each other. But of course, so there's this underlying knowing of sadness, and knowing it can't really truly work, and it really like makes the whole experience like really quite emotional. And I didn't quite cry at the end, but I very much could have, you know. And Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger especially, but it's got so many people in that I didn't even realize, which I was really surprised at. Like, obviously Heath Ledger, Jake Gyllenhaal, yes, but it's also got Linda Cardellini in it and Anne Hathaway. And I had no idea it had this, and the other woman who plays Heath Ledger's like wife as well. I don't know her from anything, but she was very good.
It's not Michelle Williams, is it?
I don't know. I genuinely haven't seen her
From
in anything else before.
Venom, Greatest Showman.
Michelle.
She's in Blue Valentine. She's in the Scorsese Shutter Island.
Oh, yes, I think it is her then. Yes, yeah, it is.
Because I knew Ledger was in a film where, because they were married, like they got married, and I know they met on a film set. So,
Wow, that's interesting,
that was the
especially
one.
to meet on that one, if that was the one they met on.
Yeah.
But that's really sweet, because they're, of course, married in that. That's really definitely recommend it. Like, I think it's one of those movies, though, where, like, maybe this is just me talking from, like, a straight off kind of, not like, but, like, I haven't had time to fully process it, is that, like, the soundtrack and the way it's shot and things like that aren't particularly spectacular. It's like very much based on the story and the chemistry, and like the setting really adds a lot to it. So I wouldn't say go into it thinking like this is going to be breathtaking in every degree, but like the story is definitely something that really like sticks with you and you think about it So yeah, 100% recommend it.
I thought it was Ang Lee who directed, and he's usually quite an out there director. I thought.
It was like it had some. It's like the scenery was really great, but it wasn't like there was only about 2 or 3 instances of kind of like poetic kind of use of the like camera and the sort of. There wasn't really in that sort of a sense. It wasn't like it was incredibly. Like the one I'm straight away going to for some reason is Gone Girl, because we were talking about it. Is like in that there's so much of the construction of it, not just the dialogue and things like that, but like gives you so much about the relationships and about there's only about 6 or 7 shots that I can think of off the top of my head that were really quite showing rather than telling, you know. But 100% that's not at all a criticism of it, because sometimes stories like that do work better when they're very dialogue driven, like how people feel, you know, like, and how chemistry works between real people rather than like just cinematically. So yeah, it was really cool.
Lovely.
Very sad though. Very sad.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like Gone Girl's become like this buzzword when trying to pitch a film to Devon. Like you
That's
take
true.
one aspect of a film and it's like it's a lot like Gone Girl.
sadly, this one's not a lot like Gone Girl. So I don't know what that.
Doing it right, Kat.
Yeah. All right.
That's how
I've
you
got
get
another
Devon
one.
to watch.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I've got
no,
another one to
you
talk about, but I wanted someone else to go first before I.
Okay. Alex.
No, I was just saying that's how you get Devon to watch a movie. Just say Gone Girl and that's it.
I think that's how I pitched The Invisible Woman. Oh, sorry, The Invisible Man.
And it works. I don't think it was like Gone Girl, but I liked it, so it works.
You just lie. It's like Gone Girl and it's not, and then he's at least seen it, so it's fine.
Minions, it's like Gone Girl but yellow. Okay, Alex, what did you think of Zodiac?
Oh, I had watched it in the past, but it's just journalism and true crime, which are my favorite things. So it's brilliant. It's just brilliant, and the fact that it's based on a real story, it's very accurate, to be honest. Because knowing the story of the Zodiac, there's a few things that they missed and they could have talked about, but other than that, because the movie is 2 hours and something. So I think they did a great job with adapting the original story. I haven't read the book though, so I don't know about that, but it's just great. And I just love seeing Robert Downey Jr. and Mark Ruffalo in the same movie. Like I just love that. Yeah, and Mark Ruffalo acting in movies like this just gives me a lot of Spotlight vibes. And it's just great.
I think I read somewhere that Zodiac was the film that made Robert Downey Jr. vow never to do like non-blockbuster films again, because Fincher's work ethic was just so like intense. And after coming off Iron Man, where it's like they do one take and it was probably fine and they can probably move on, he just couldn't handle it.
I love Robert Downey Jr. in those kinds of parts because he does it so well. He's such a good actor when he wants to be.
Yeah.
And especially like I just think Mark Ruffalo and him have a really good chemistry on this type of artsy film. Sorry about that background noise. That's my brother playing to be an ambulance. I don't know if you can hear that, but I am so sorry about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the chemistry of those two playing in a movie, like acting in a movie together. It's just mind-blowing. I love it.
Yeah. Have you seen Mindhunter on Netflix?
Not yet.
Like, I think obviously David Fincher has loved serial killer and crime throughout his entire career, but I think Zodiac was the film which made him be like, okay, I really need to do a proper serial killer stuff, and then he made Mindhunter. So do
I need to
that.
watch it. I do.
Yeah. I think it's underappreciated is such like a overused word in film, but I think that is one of his most underappreciated films.
Zodiac.
Yeah.
I think it certainly deserves more talking about. Because I do know the case is kind of, very saturated in the true crime, culture, and everyone talks about the Zodiac, which, to be honest, I don't understand, because for me the answer is pretty clear. But yeah, I understand how people in the true crime scene don't want to keep talking about it, because it's
Yeah.
sorry.
It's not really that loud. It's just like, because everyone else is so quiet, you just like hear it more. There was I was having a class the other day on here, and there was one girl who's like, her sister's boyfriend and her were arguing in the background. The teacher was being really like insensitive to it and was like, who is arguing in the back of this video? and like he was like, tell them to be quiet. So the girl like really timidly took off her headphones and was like, guys. So it's not like that, at least.
Okay, who was next in the order?
In my order, Miles was next, but I don't know where he's gone.
Oh, has he gone?
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, you're still
Hello.
there. Oh, okay. Hello.
Go for
Am
it.
I just bad connection?
We can't see you.
Just can't see
Can
you.
I be heard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's... Oh, internet connection is unstable. Oh dear.
Oh.
I think.
What am I to talk about?
The film you saw, what was
Hannah?
it? Hannah,
I
yes.
saw Hannah, and I thought it was very good, actually. Yeah.
What is it
I
about?
really... It's like, I don't want to spoil it too much in talking about it, because it kind of reveals itself as it goes on. But it's Saoirse Ronan in like, can anyone help me out here? Has anyone else seen it?
I haven't seen it.
It's like what I've never seen her do anything like it before.
Mm.
And it's the first film I ever saw of her in, and I've never seen her do anything like it since.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to watch just for that part of it. But I know what you mean. It is kind of hard to say it without spoiling. You could talk about kind of the genre and like what kind of environment it's set in.
Yeah, I guess it's like sort of like a thriller. It's well, that's the thing as well. The environments in the film change so much, and the set design is really fantastic. You've got like, I don't want to spoil it, but it goes from like deserts, and then there's like a snowy sort of tundra, and there's like cities and stuff. It's sort of, and it's like, it's a thriller in the genre, I guess. I'm sorry I'm describing this so badly.
No.
But yeah, it's fantastic. And it's also kind of, yeah.
I was going to add kind of again, tiptoeing around any plot details, but it's interesting because she is very young in the story, and she's in it's sort of a type of plot which doesn't traditionally have a young person in, and in that respect it's very much done through her eyes and sort of has this lens of childhood which it examines the entire situation, which may be quite a traditional situation, but it's done in such a way that's almost sinisterly playful because of the way it's being presented.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I love the little parts of the story and like the elements of design in it that are sort of inspired by like fairy tales and stuff like that. Like the old sort of, because this isn't really a spoiler, but she has like in her house at the start of the film, she's grown up with like a book of facts and a book of fairy tales, essentially, like a picture book with fairy tales in it, and you can sort of take the whole film as sort of her interpretation of events based on those texts, because that's all she had. She didn't really have like social interaction and different things, so you can almost look at it like, is this really happening, or is it just sort of based on the fairy tale characters she's seen in the books, and also the very sort of factual way of looking at the world. I don't know, but yeah, I found that quite interesting.
And Peter, what was your film again?
The Host.
Yes, the only one of those I haven't seen.
And you're not going to for another few weeks.
Yes.
Because I got to watch a journalist showing I guess, quote unquote, showing of it. The review embargo is lifted, but I don't want to talk about it too much because I've watched it for the purposes of doing an email interview with the producer and one of the actors in it. But
is this the host, the Bong Joon-ho film, or is this a
no,
different host?
no. This is
Oh.
a new indie film called The Host.
Okay.
It's
Oh.
English but Dutch sort of thing, and it takes a lot from Psycho. I think it actually almost feels like a
When
Psycho
did it come
remake.
out?
It's not out yet. It comes out in like a
Oh.
couple of weeks. So
Ah.
look out for interviews on the Courier. I'll be questioning the producer and one of the
really
supporting
cool.
actors.
That's really cool.
That's
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah,
I was
well,
thinking of this one, the 2013. I was like, interesting.
Oh, I was thinking of the
Oh.
2006 one.
yeah.
How much are you allowed to say about it?
I don't. You see, like I'm actually, I think I'm at full liberty to talk about it, but I don't want to say anything that we might like color my interview.
Fair. Okay.
If you know what I mean, like I don't
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah.
It's
Have you seen anything that isn't that you?
Yes, right. So, oh god, I watched Knives Out with my parents. They hadn't ever seen it on Sunday, so that was really great. That's just like the perfect comfort film, I think.
Perfect.
And I watched Resident Evil for the first time last week as well, which is so good. Oh my god.
The first one.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
on Prime at the minute. Oh, it's just like it's like Lara Croft Tomb Raider meets Dawn of the Dead meets Aliens, and they all just like blended it together, and it's brilliant. I can't wait to watch all of them.
The fourth one is like a huge guilty pleasure film for me. I genuinely think the first one is a good film. The fourth one is very much a bad film, but I love it.
Has anybody else seen Resident Evil?
I have, but
haven't.
many years ago.
I was always recommended it, weirdly, but I've never watched it.
It's definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
If you go in with an open mind of it's very 90s.
Okay.
But it's a
Is it-
2000s film.
Yes.
I was gonna say, is it like the Fast and Furious movies, where like the first one is kind of gets away with being an okay film because it's like very different to the rest of them, and then the rest of them just kind of go off on this very weird tangent. Is it like that, or is it sort of not like that?
I haven't seen enough Fast and Furious to say. It's sort of just like
Watch them all. Please.
it's just like it's dumb fun, and you sort of like care about the characters enough that if they get like bitten or killed or something, you're like, oh, I was kind of hoping they'd make it until the end, but you're not like, oh well, now it's ruined the experience for me knowing that he didn't make it or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
It sort of like does just enough to get you through, but and they're all like in tight hour and 30-minute films. Like they don't go on for too long. It's quite I don't know, it's quite comfortable for for a zombie film.
Yeah.
I'd sort of compare the franchise to Mission Impossible in that each of the films feels like a director sort of wanted to make another film, but they had this IP, so they sort of made, and like each film feels very sort of different in terms of tone and plot, and they all sort of end on cliffhangers, which then never completely like get brushed under the rug immediately for the next film. Like the third Resident Evil feels like somebody really wanted to make a Mad Max film. The first one feels like somebody wanted to make an Aliens film. The second feels like somebody wanted to make, I don't even know, some sort of like almost Tarantino zombie film. The fourth is weirdly sci-fi. It's a very strange franchise. And the fifth is like more. There's like elements of the Matrix in the fifth. it's very strange, but they are fun.
Nice.
By the way, Devon, I finally watched Enemy. which
Oh,
was
what did you
in
think
your
of
list.
Enemy?
I love that I didn't get any of it.
Yeah.
And the ending was just, I'm still shocked. I don't understand that ending. It's just very weird.
That fight. Has anyone else here seen Enemy?
No.
It's sort of like Jekyll and Hyde is the closest thing I can compare it to, but not really.
Yeah, that's a good way of talking about it. But it's a film where you you watch the film, and every scene that goes on, you're sort of like, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm sort of keeping up. I'm sort of going along. I sort of know where I am. And then it gets to like the very final scene, and you're like, okay, I kind of get this film. And then the final shot happens, and you're like,
I did not get any of it. the last shot, it's just, it's what lets you to believe you haven't understand anything.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh yeah, maybe this is, this is realistic to one point. It could happen. It makes sense in, the real world, and suddenly it goes into Lovecraft, and it's just okay. And
Yeah,
it's just very good.
Again, it's sort of a trust me recommendation, but trust me. Yeah. Okay. I think, Peter, did you have a list of... So we usually do a box office report on the FilmSoc Radio Show. There is no box office at the moment, which I'll just talk about that very quickly, because it's very interesting. This is probably going to be one of the most interesting times for movies over the next year and a half, because usually when a movie is kind of throughout the whole production process, the studio knows the release date and they knows what the movies it's going up against, and they sort of know how much money it's going to make, and the order's very everything's very known. But now all that's out the window. There's a bunch of films which are just in free fall, and even the schedule over the next year and a half, things are being moved and shuffled so much that it's like there's been a series of gladiator fights where you sort of know who is going to win each fight because they're done that way, and then suddenly all the gladiators are put in the ring in one go, and it's a very interesting time to follow box office, and it's going to be a very interesting for decades to come. There will be little stars next to a bunch of films that will be like, this was during this time. So yeah, very interesting. But Peter, do you want to talk about the top 10 on Google Play?
Yeah, so before we get through the top 10, there's some in the top 20 that I think are quite interesting. So we've got Vivarium, which is a new sci-fi horror film about the suburban ennui, and stars Jesse Eisenberg. The Invisible Man's number 16. It Chapter 2 is number 15, and number 13 is Zombieland Double Tap. I just highlighted this because the popularity in horror movie never dies out.
Yeah.
Then in the top 10, number 10 is Terminator Dark Fate. Number 9 is Impractical Jokers, the movie.
Oh, God.
Is Joker. 7 is Bloodshot. 6 is our favorite film, Le Mans 66, or Ford v Ferrari.
Oh.
All the Oscars.
Number 5 is Contagion. Number 4, which is debuted here, it never got any theatrical run, is Trolls World Tour. Number 3 is Frozen 2. Number 2 is Jumanji: The Next Level. Number 1 is Knives Out.
Wow. I didn't think of Knives Out to be the first one. I'm very surprised.
I'm so I was telling my dad and sister to watch it in the cinemas throughout its entire theatrical run, and they just never got around to it. So I was waiting for checking every week to see if it was on demand so that I could tell them to watch it. And last weekend was finally when it came out, and I immediately told them, and they immediately watched it, and they said it was brilliant. So yeah.
So nice.
It's just a good one.
I think it is like a great comfort film at this time. It's not too long. It's very funny. There's enough mystery, but it's not like too suspenseful. Yeah, it kind of doesn't surprise me.
And it's also, for a lot of people who are stuck with their families, it's, I think, the only film very obviously on there that is a film that is for all ages, all family.
Yeah,
Like looking in
definitely.
the top 10, maybe Jumanji, but I could still see like older generations maybe skewing away from that. Whereas Knives Out, I would happily show that to a 6-year-old, and I'd happily show that to a 66-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Terminator Dark Fate is quite an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because I do think it came out on like video on demand a while ago, so this is like a recent surge. Well, I'm guessing this is sort of like, oh, wasn't there a Terminator movie a while ago? Should we watch this now? um, I'm wondering like if other films are going to feel this effect of like a sudden like, oh, we can get round to this thing now that we didn't bother to see it in cinemas, or we didn't feel like it was worth going to see in cinemas. So I think those films are going to get a boost, whatever they may be. Maybe X-Men Dark Phoenix will be next. Probably not, but potentially if Dark Fate gets in, then yeah, I wouldn't put it off the picture.
I've just looked up the if you guys are intrigued, I've just looked up the box office for this April of last year, and what was in the box office, which is quite interesting actually. So let me just find it. So what would it have been? Saturday the 6th of April? Is that what we'd be interested in? Because it's in fact it's the 6th of April, it's the 7th of April today, so let's go pretty much an exact year ago.
Just thinking about it, I think Endgame was April 2019, so the box office will either be just before Endgame or during Endgame.
I think Endgame
it's just
was
before.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because I remember watching Endgame in Newcastle, so it must have been May. Because I saw it when it came out. I saw it the next day, and I was in Newcastle, so it must have been May.
When I go to the thing on the, it's not on the box office on the wait, hang on a second. I must be looking at it wrong. Month we in April 7th, and if we went into April 7th last year, that is. It says that it's not on at this point. It was in the one where I had the 29th. It was
25th of April was the release date.
Yeah, 25th.
So it would have been about 2 weeks before.
Yeah. And the number one film in fact, I'll go down. The number one film this time last year was Shazam.
No.
Of course, because it was like the one film that was happy to sacrifice its legs to Endgame's just monstrous run.
Yeah. No, go on, sorry.
Oh yeah, I was like that. It was interesting seeing the box office at that time because basically all tentpole films cleared because nobody wanted to have like release 2 weeks before Endgame and only make 2 weeks worth of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it was Pet Sematary, Dumbo, Us, Captain Marvel, The Best of Enemies. I've never even heard of that.
Me neither.
Yeah.
5 Feet Apart, and then ones I've never heard of, aka Unplanned, Wonder Park, Hotel Mumbai.
Oh, I think Wonder Park was this thing which was meant to be a huge new IP brand launch, and they pretty much made a feature film which was the first episode of an animated kids series and released it, and it was so bad that I think the series got cancelled.
Oh no! Well, it was the 10th thing in the box office, so it wasn't even that terribly, I suppose. But
yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. I'm gonna look that up right now. Yeah.
And it was something like it was a kids show, but the main plot of the first episode was like a guy's the boy's mum dying of cancer. So immediately all kids were put off.
Is when something's got 6 zeros behind it, is that 1 million?
Yeah.
It made in its opening 15 million and its budget was 90 million.
Ooh. Oh no.
Christ. That's terrible. Wow. That must have been its opening weekend when it earned all of that and then nothing after it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I've got to contribute to this.
Did you not see Pet Cemetery?
I
haven't seen it.
I honestly just like forget there was a thing because it felt like there was a lot of, I don't say a lot of hype leading up to it, but some hype between the trailers and stuff. And then it came out and then no one talked about it. And I know I didn't get the greatest reviews. What did you think, Alex?
I didn't mind it. I don't understand why people were so, because I was talking about it with my friends here and no one really liked it here, and I don't know why. But apparently it's very like it follows the book very well within the possible, time and stuff.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I thought it was an okay movie. I don't think it was scary, but I definitely saw where they were coming from and what they were intending to do. I do think a little bit more of depth analysis with the ending scenes would have been good, but I thought it was fine.
All right, cool. I'll look out for it.
I think it was still, because of course It Chapter 1 has an incredible box office run, I think in 2017.
Yes.
And it just kind of, it became the #1 grossing horror film in a bunch of regions, and it was just like absolutely blowing people away. So that was like, I think there was a bit of Stephen King fever throughout the next couple of years with stuff like Gerald's Game and 1912 and a few other like, oh, and was that
1922?
Yes.
And Tall
Into the
Grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All 3 of those are Netflix films.
And also Haunting of Hill House was another sort of Stephen King-esque thing. I saw that lumped in with a lot of Stephen King conversation.
Yeah. Sleep.
Oh, of course. Well, see, that my theory was going to be that like Netflix got out a bunch of Stephen King adaptations really quickly while Stephen King fever was still about with it, which is why they all kind of got quite, they were well seen at the very least. And then once the film industry caught up with stuff like Doctor Sleep, Pet Sematary, and of course It Chapter 2, Stephen King fever had kind of died off and they all sort of underperformed. That's just my theory, but it seemed to be that all of those sort of came out with sort of muted mess.
I think it's because the premises are less original than Into the Grass. Is it Into the Grass or Tall Grass? What is it?
Tall Grass. Into the Tall Grass.
Yeah, something like that. The Grass one and the 1922. I think they're more. And Gerald's Game. I think. I don't know. I don't know because Gerald's Game is kind of unique, but it is very not new.
I saw a lot of people actually talking about it recently on Twitter and Gerald's Game for that scene. I won't go into it if you haven't seen it, but there's it gets weirdly gruesome for just like one scene.
Yeah. See, I don't think that 1922 was particularly anything. I was very disappointed by that.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, anyone else? Maybe Stephen King fever was less feverish than I thought. I wouldn't recommend it. It was me and a bunch of friends kind of saw it really expecting for it to be a very good film and expecting to like it. And there was a point about halfway through where we all looked at each other and we were like, this is a very bad film. can we just accept that and make fun of it because we kind of want to finish it, but we're not enjoying it as is.
Oh wow.
And we just like laughed at it throughout the rest because not for us.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people didn't understand Pet Sematary, and It Chapter 2 wasn't as good as the first one, and I think that's why it underperformed. And what was the other one? Doctor Sleep.
Which...
I don't think a lot of people enjoy Doctor Sleep, and I understand why.
Yeah, and I also think that the inherent thing about Doctor Sleep trying to be for Shining fans, but Shining fans not wanting to see it because it's not The Shining, and it didn't advertise itself as anything else. Yeah,
that's why I think they underperformed rather than King Fever, because I think if they release a remake of Christine, for example, people will go to see it. I just think it depends on the story they decide to adapt.
Yeah. Are there any more Stephen King adaptations upcoming? Do we know?
They just finished airing a TV show based on The Outsider.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen it. I heard
things.
it's very slow and not a lot happens in it.
Okay.
Isn't the Lock and Key series in Netflix? Isn't the son of Stephen King the writer or something like that?
I think so. I mean,
I know
his son wrote Sleeping Beauties with him. I think it's called. I'll have a wee look here.
Lock and Key.
It's a comic book series originally, isn't it?
I have absolutely no idea. It is. It doesn't say.
Yeah, it's a comic book series. Yeah, it's by Joe Hill, who's Stephen King's son, I want to say.
Okay, I was looking at it in Netflix and it didn't say anything.
Son.
It also has the Georgie kid from It, and I found that funny.
Oh.
There's also supposed to be coming out on Netflix, I believe. Is it Netflix? No, CBS All. Is an adaptation of The Stand as a mini-series. But
is Whoopi Goldberg in it?
What was that?
Is Whoopi Goldberg in it? Is this the same one?
It seems James Marsden will play the lead role. That's all the info I've got on the stuff at the moment. But I believe that The Stand is about an outbreak of a virus. So I could see them pushing that just because it may not be the most... Although actually, Contagion's doing really well. It will sort of be the difference between them. We lost Miles.
Miles left the chat.
The difference between whether they think it would be tasteful or whether they want to make money, because I could see people really latching onto it. Yeah, centers around a pandemic of a weaponized strain of influenza that kills almost the entire world population is the premise.
So coronavirus.
I've got a full cast here. So, like you said, James Marsden's the lead, but we also have Amber Heard, Whoopi Goldberg, Marilyn Manson, Alexander Skarsgård, Nat Wolff is in it as well.
I think you had us all with Manson, like we all did the exact same thing.
Yeah, he's playing Trash Can Man. I haven't read it or seen the previous adaptation, so I have no idea what this means. But
No.
yeah,
Sounds good though.
yeah, I'd watch it. I'd probably read it first, but yeah, that'd be it. Also, we've lost Miles.
Miles.
It's been snapped.
F.
Yeah.
What film that got pushed are you guys most kind of sad about, out of interest?
In the Heights.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I already had plans to go see it. We were so excited.
Bless.
And I'll probably be in Newcastle when it launches, so I won't be able to see it with the people that I had planned to go with. Yeah. So that's what I'm more sad about, but oh well.
See, In the Heights is an interesting one because it had a really good slot being a summer release, because West Side Story which is Steven Spielberg's next film, was coming out in December. But now In the Heights is pushed, it might try for the December slot, which means it will be like 2 musicals going up against each other. I don't think they've announced a new release date for it yet. Have they?
No,
Okay.
I think they were thinking of September, but it's not confirmed. And the thing is, it made sense to release it in summer because the story is based on summer. So it made sense to have it around that time, and it's just gonna feel a little bit off if you have it on Christmas.
I think John Woo has definitely said they're committed to a cinematic release. You okay, Kat?
Yeah, I just was looking up what's been pushed back, and Baz Luhrmann, I thought this was just a rumor, is actually doing his Elvis Presley biopic, and it is delayed. So yes, that's what I'm always most excited for, and I'm most disappointed that it hasn't come out. But I'm actually just happy because I didn't know it was coming out.
Wasn't that the one that Tom Hanks is a part of? And it was like one of the first being pushed because he got coronavirus. Yeah.
So yeah, that would be the thing I'm most excited for. Yeah.
Brilliant. Peter, did you have one?
Well, you know me, I love my comic book movies. So obviously I'm disappointed with Wonder Woman, especially since it was meant to be released in November. And then they were like, oh, let's not compete with Star Wars. We can't compete with Star Wars. And turns out, oh yeah, absolutely could have competed with Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit sad for that, but I'll say eventually. But New Mutants is actually something about myself being really disappointed.
That and Uncharted must be like the most cursed movies in Hollywood at the moment.
I mean, like, New Mutants has an actual final cut. And I thought, like, the last trailer they put out, I was like, I actually kind of want to go and see this now, even out of curiosity and all. And I was like, yes, like at Easter break, I'm going to go at the start of April, and then bang. I don't think they haven't redated it, have they?
I don't think so. It's one of those films that I could see they really want to just put it to digital, but they're contractually obligated to release every Fox film. So I'm wondering if basically what they're going to do is, when cinemas first reopen, they'll put it in cinemas immediately as sort of a sacrifice that they know it probably won't make much money, but it will probably have very long legs and probably command a lot of cinema just because it will be the only film out. And when people start trickling back into cinemas, when they feel confident going back into cinemas, then it will be the film which everyone has seen who has gone to a cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't announced a new date for it yet, so
yeah.
What about you, Devon?
In terms of films which have like actually been officially pushed, I was looking forward to No Time to Die, and I know that's I still think there have only been 1.5 good Bond films.
What's the half one?
I think James the Skyfall's it's okay.
What's
it's
the
very
one?
pretty. Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my god, so good.
But I just think Bond has so much potential to be an interesting deconstruction in this current day and age that it would be so easy for them to make a good Bond film, but they're just not very good at making a good Bond film. They did it once. They've done it once. Maybe they can do it again. But also, it will most likely get pushed. The Batman. I was so looking forward to that coming out next year.
Oh, yeah.
And production's been shut down. And the fact that America is not going to be doing very well in the next few weeks, and England is pretty much shut down anyway, I doubt I can see production starting back up for the next 2 months at least.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I mean,
I could. Sorry?
If the October slate next year isn't too bad, and they're able to get production going, I think the Batman would actually suit better there thematically than in June. And I know James Gunn is editing Suicide Squad from home, so I'm wondering if they'll like bring Suicide Squad forward to take Batman's release date.
Is Suicide Squad slated for October at the moment?
August. They were only like a couple of months apart.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. That I hope so.
That way they can also build up the hype for Batman if Suicide Squad is very bad, because you won't have anything to wait for in Batman. Like, you won't have expectations. Suicide Squad was so bad, so another DC movie. And then,
Yeah, I could see them wanting to release the Batman first, just to try and repair some of the image of Suicide Squad, because it's very obvious from the box office of Birds of Prey that audiences did not like Suicide Squad, and audiences are not wanting to see more of that. So maybe they'll do it. I think that's why they had it like that originally, is so that the Batman could be like, I promise we make good films now, we really do. And then Suicide Squad could come out, the Suicide Squads, could come out and make money. But who knows?
That'd be quite interesting, because I know Birds of Prey got an early video on demand release in North America and everything. So it'll be interesting if more people will decide to watch that just to fill up their time, and if that repairs the reputation at all. I can't really see it doing too much, just because there actually is quite a lot of content out at the minute. All the studios are rushing to get everything out on video on demand, but yeah.
I think HBO Max, which is Warner's basically Disney Plus and Netflix, it's their on-demand service, is still slated for August. It hasn't been pushed at all, despite all the everything. And I feel like they will really push Birds of Prey on there. If not immediately, then before the Suicide Squad, sort of as a brand repair type thing.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be cool. It would be cool to see if they do like TV shows on HBO Max that are connected to the universe. Because I feel like the actual Birds of Prey would be a good TV show to do, where you sort of have actors that are like in between the B and the A list, and characters that are sort of there too, just to like explore it a little bit more, and hopefully get more subscribers onto a new streaming service.
Yeah, there's like how Disney are doing with like Falcon
Yeah.
and Winter Soldier and all that. Yeah, maybe I could see myself enjoying that a lot more than the film, a TV show.
I would like to have Harley Quinn TV show as well.
Well, there's an animated one at the minute.
Yeah, I know, but I want Margot Robbie.
Interesting question to the crowd. Do you think we'll ever see Jared Leto as the Joker on screen again?
I think we were meant to, but he had scheduling issues with Morbius. Or at least that's the story that's been going around.
I think they should be scared to put him in another movie, because I think the consensus with the audience was, we don't like Jared Leto as the Joker. So if they put him back, they're risking a lot of backlash, because it's not something that they didn't know. Like, it's gonna be, you knew we didn't like this guy as the Joker. So and after seeing Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker, putting Leto, it's just I think it would be a very bad marketing move.
There is a lot of nails in that coffin. I could see if Morbius does like 1.5 billion, I could see them doing it, but I don't. Though I didn't see Venom doing well. I don't understand Venom. I don't know. So maybe.
Everyone went to see Venom thinking it was going to be like fun or dumb or whatever. It's just one of those movies everyone went to see regardless of what they thought it was going to be like. There was just like this sheer curiosity around what Venom was.
But I feel like before Venom came out, everyone was sort of making fun of it. It was sort of like, maybe not to the degree of Cats, but everyone knew it was going to be bad. And everyone was like, oh, have you seen the Venom trailer? Venom's coming out next week. And I was like, it's going to flop. It's going to do awful. And then the next FilmSoc pub, like half the people were like, yeah, I saw Venom. It was really bad. I was like, yeah, what? Why? Well, you knew that. We all knew that.
It's funny funny though. It's fun to watch. I liked it.
Yeah, I'd say that. I think it's a bad film, but it is quite entertaining to just
It's-
like have on.
I think it's very aware of itself. Like they know they're doing a bad film, but they don't care. They just don't care.
I love that like it almost like forgot to have a villain. Because all of the villain scenes is they're like edited in as if they've been like shot in post-production. Because it's all about like the other symbiote or whatever, like moving from one host to the other to get to where it needs to be. And I just love that they just like throw in one of these scenes every night. I was like, yeah, okay. Like the villain isn't important. It's not why you like go and watch.
That's not why you came to see this film.
Yeah, Venom's like already part of the villain when you're watching it. So, yeah, honestly, I'd watch Tom Hardy talking to the Venom symbiote in a room for like an hour and a half, just to have like a conversation.
It's so good.
Then I guess the question is, you guys who enjoyed Venom, are you going to see Morbius?
No, well,
I didn't know that was a thing, to be honest, until now.
Jared Leto is a bat.
I say
I don't
no,
know.
but I know I'll end up going to see it anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's really what happened with Venom as well. And Joker. I was like, all these things, like, I'm definitely not going to see this. It's like, oh my god, it's finally out.
Yeah.
I don't know what Morbius is. Like, the trailer seemed so stinted, or I don't know, it just seemed really awkward, even watching the trailer, and I can't imagine the movie is any less awkward when watching.
You would expect a trailer to be exactly the opposite, like really, really good and all the cool bits.
Like high energy and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but it's sort of like, well, if we just do like a big exposition dump and then throw in like Adrian Toomes at the end and be like, fuck you, Kevin Feige, we're part of this now. You can't stop our Sinister Six movie.
It's a vampire movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, but Morbius is a Spider-Man villain.
Is it?
it's a vampire movie set in the Venom universe with Vulture from the MCU.
Yeah, because Sony still owns all of these like characters. At the end of the day, they can do whatever they want. So really, they can connect this to the MCU through the characters and the actors that they own that were in an MCU movie that was produced by them. So this is checkmate.
I wish this was a video podcast just so you guys could see like the mixture between disgust and confusion on both Alex and Kat's face.
I mean,
What a mess.
I don't like vampire movies anymore after Twilight and
What are you
Interview with a
talking about,
Vampire.
Alex? What kind of controversial? You can't just hit us with a statement like that. Like after Twilight, I just don't like vampire movies. They're like, oh,
Interview with a Vampire.
that's a quality movie. No, I'm not kidding. I actually quite like Interview with a Vampire. I think it's really funny.
I think it was the book that threw me off.
I haven't
but-
read the book.
After seeing that, I just vampire movies are
It is
just
the one
not for me.
with Antonio Banderas and Tom Cruise and
Is Antonio
everything.
Banderas in there? It's Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt.
yeah.
And-
Antonio Banderas is the man at the end who like is the proper big
Is he?
vampire guy.
doing the whole like
yeah, I love that. I'm the
Tap Jerry on the head while I
vampire.
do that. I don't know. I think it's great. I rewatched the first Twilight the other day because I was feeling a bit like I really wanted a romance movie, but like, what had I already seen?
I really want a romance movie where everyone looks like they hate themselves and each other. I know.
I know the one. Oh, I'm gonna set my background to the other film that I wanted to talk about just real quick. 'Cause
Oh.
it's a pretty background. There we go.
I don't know why I leaned as if I can look past you.
What's that? This is I'm like does anybody have any other movies they watched like in quarantine before I talk about this one though? Because I've set this just because it's also a nice background picture.
I rewatched. We said like we want like a light thing to watch, and we couldn't really think of a TV thing. So I was like, okay, well, let's watch the first 20 minutes of Knives Out, just because they're a bit fun. We watched the whole thing, the whole like 2.5 hours.
Aww.
What else? I've seen
We
like
watched the Clicks movie, the Playmobil movie.
oh no,
Yeah.
oh no.
And
Wait.
Mary Queens of Scots.
You've seen the Playmobil movie before you've seen the Lego movie.
No, actually, we started that movie because of my brother, and I started watching Solo in my computer, but next to my family, because family time.
Yeah.
But I've seen the Lego movie. I just put it off halfway through.
You haven't seen it.
I've seen half of it.
Did you not like it?
No, I hate it. I found it very irritating.
Wow, statements from Alex here. I really want to see the Playmobil movie just because of how much I loved Playmobil when I was a kid, but I've heard such terrible things.
What is your review?
It's not good. It's just very cringy, and it's just they start singing out of nowhere, and I understand that's a kids thing. It's a kids movie, so they have to start singing out of nowhere. But I just found it very cringy, and especially seeing the like, because we saw it in Spanish, so seeing the actors move their mouths and it was not I didn't like it.
Sorry, does anyone have any others?
Go for it, Kat.
I've seen almost all the Studio Ghibli movies now. The only one I haven't seen is My Neighbors the Yamadas, or however you pronounce it. I've seen every single one. This one is The Tale of Princess Kaguya. It came out in 2013 and I'd never seen it. And it is so good that I can't even... It's... the whole animation style is like, rather than like line drawings, it's as if it's done in the style of watercolor paintings, and it's so beautiful and such a joy to watch, and it made me cry twice. And I don't actually cry at movies that often, surprise surprise. So it was like really, and it's basically I don't know the like background of it, but it's pretty much the story of this girl that this guy who finds in like a bamboo shoot, and she's tiny, she's like a little thing like this, but she's like a fully grown person, and then when he touches her, she turns into like a little baby, like a newborn baby, and she grows in like a matter of days into like a teenager. But like, so the first like half of the film is you watching her grow up and stuff, and I won't give away too much, but it's pretty much the story of like everything is kind of like a microcosm of like Japan progressing, and like from sort of like farming communities into like bigger sort of like feudal kind of things, and like monarchies, not monarchies but emperors and things like that, and like, and it's just such a good film, and it is only about an hour and a half, I think, and it just, I can't recommend it enough. Like, people talk about Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle and Princess Mononoke as being like the big Studio Ghibli movies that everybody's got to watch, but I genuinely would put this up there. I think it's like my 5th favorite Ghibli movie. Like, it's so fantastic, and just look how it's. Anyway, so that's what I would say. That's my quarantine watch. That's been my favorite thing I've watched so far.
It's 2 hours and 17 minutes, by the way.
Oh, is it? I thought maybe it's because it like went so fast, maybe. But fair enough. 2 hours then.
Yeah. The only Studio Ghibli film I've seen is Spirited Away. What's my way in? What do I see next? Because I've seen Spirited Away like 10 times for some reason.
Either Princess Mononoke, I think, would be up your street.
Yeah.
And then if not with that, The Wind Rises is quite a good one.
Okay.
Have any of you guys seen any of the Ghibli movies that you?
I haven't, but they've all been on my like Netflix watch list
They're one of those things people
since like
people
February.
avoid anime, and I don't know why.
I like anime. It's just like
Yeah.
by the time I get down to watching a film, I'm usually too tired for subtitles. So I'm just sort of like waiting until like all the essays are done, where I can feel like, I'm just like really up for watching it because I really want to watch My Neighbor Totoro. I saw,
Oh
like,
yeah,
a little
sorry.
clip.
Yeah, that's the
I
other
saw
big
like
one.
the preview clip of it, and it was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
So cute. So cute.
Yeah, no, I need to watch that, and I need to watch Spirited Away because I think those are the two ones that a lot of people are talking about. Actually, one of my friends, one of his favorite films is, I think it's Studio Ghibli, Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves that one. So
My mum loves that film. That's her favorite Ghibli film. She's seen, so I don't know if that's a good recommendation. But yeah, definitely.
Are there any other films you guys would recommend on Netflix?
On Netflix.
Platform. Watch the platform.
Oh yeah, I think I will go and watch that. For the way you guys talked about it was quite like interesting.
So good. So good. Oh, that movie, it was. Here's the thing. I was doing the Netflix party with Angie from Nest, and we were watching Scorsese's movie, The Goodfellas. A very popular movie that it's supposedly very good. We talked about the platform throughout the whole thing. We did not pay attention to Goodfellas at all. That's how good that movie is.
Wow.
I'd recommend I, Tonya, which has just been put on.
Oh, I was watching that.
Yes.
I feel like not as many people saw it as I thought had seen it, but it's terrific. Like, it's easily Margot Robbie's best performance. So it's my favorite film of the year. It's just, and Alison Janney, who actually won, I think, Best Supporting Actress for her role as Tonya Harding's mother. It's just, it's really, I think especially after Suicide Squad, it makes you, because Tonya Harding's obviously ends up in this like abusive relationship. It's like a black comedy done in fourth wall breaking mockumentary style. And I think it just sort of made you feel like, oh, no, she is perfect for, this whole like other role that she's in. But yeah, definitely go and watch it. It's really good. And Misery, just because we were thinking about the Stephen King stuff, and I was like, Misery was really good.
That's the one with the writer, right?
Yeah. It's so good.
That one's really fun to watch.
I think that will be like the Stephen King film that I enjoy. It just sounds really good.
Misery.
Think so.
Yeah.
It's like a psychological thriller, I think, more than a horror.
I like more Gerald's Game than Misery, to be honest.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Damn it! I've got 6 under the radar. They might be under the radar. I don't know. I've got 6 films you should watch on Netflix.
Hidden gems, if you will.
Those hidden gems. Annihilation, which I think quite a few people have seen now. It's been out, but yeah, just get it on the biggest screen you can with the biggest sound system you can, and just it's by the director of Ex Machina, who is another film which is on Netflix. But yeah, Annihilation is a little bit less known, and it is very good. Inside Man, which I think is one of Spike Lee's films, which should be his most known, but isn't for some reason. It stars Denzel Washington, Clive Owen, and Jodie Foster, and the basic premise is it's a bank heist where Denzel Washington is the detective on the outside, and Clive Owen is the criminal on the inside, and it's kind of it's a bank heist film, but it's really, really good. Phantom Thread, which Alex has seen recently, I know. One of my favorite films. Last night? What did you think?
I haven't really properly processed it, but I definitely enjoyed it 100%. And obviously Daniel Day-Lewis was amazing in it, obviously. So yeah, I had a good time watching it, definitely.
Yeah. Well, that absolutely. If you like films about like relationship dynamics and kind of the games that you play through those, I think it's just fantastic. Thoroughbreds is another one. It's Anya Taylor-Joy and Olivia Cook. That's it. And the basic premise is it's these two girls. One is a maths tutor, the other is a student, and they're very strange people, and they kind of figure out that they're both very strange people, and they start to plot a series of events. Very, very kind of small scale, but very good. You Were Never Really Here. I don't know if people know that film, but it's sort of the Joker before Joker was a thing.
Nathan recommended it to me. He loves that movie. Yeah.
Very, very good. It's by Lynn Ramsey, who did We Need to Talk About Kevin. And it's, of course, got Joaquin Phoenix doing his thing. And then finally, Prisoners, which is a Denis Villeneuve film, but it feels like it should be a Fincher film. It's sort of very crimey and very grimy and very, very particular in how it lays out. And it's absolutely, in my opinion, Hugh Jackman's best performance, easily. So check those out. Those are my recommendations. Oh, and maybe Gone Girl too.
Of course.
Maybe Gone Girl.
Maybe, if you've got good time,
Have we all seen Annihilation here? Okay, I'm getting a lot of nods.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry, radio.
Dictating it.
I forgot that. Yeah, of course. What were you going to say there, Peter?
Did you guys find it scary?
No.
On a little bit at the end, yes, but that's just because that sort of thing always does freak me out.
Okay, quite interesting, because every time I see someone like talking about it, they always talk about how scary it was. And I also didn't really get that feeling when I was watching it. I was wondering if it was just like, if other people I knew found it scary as well.
In the thing I would describe it closest to for like what type of scary the ending is about the third episode of Twin Peaks when this is kind of obscure, I suppose, if you haven't seen Twin Peaks, but when the guy has the dream and the dwarf is in it and it's like a dream sequence, it's the exact same kind of like dream feel as that, I would say. Not dreamy, but like almost just very unnerving, but not scary in the traditional sense.
I think it's creepy, but I don't think it's scary.
Yeah.
It's very existential. Like it's the film that I was trying to write a screenplay that was a Lovecraft adaptation, and I kept having to start again because it kept just becoming Annihilation.
Oh.
It's quite interesting. Seeing that everyone sort of picks as being like the scariest moment. I won't like spoil it too much. I'll just say it has something to do with an animal. And like, I didn't think it was too bad to see. It was a little graphic, but no, like a lot of people sort of like picked it out as like a really scary moment and the deformity of the animal and stuff. And what
I do not remember that, but I do remember being scared.
I don't want to like name the animal in case that's like too spoilery.
Is it the first animal or the second big animal encounter?
Oh, no, it's the second one. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that being very uncomfortable for people in terms of, again, existentially. I wouldn't say it's like jump boo scary, but yeah.
How did you just describe that, Devon?
Jump boo scary.
Jump boo scary, right? I'm just looking for the animal in it because I'm trying to reference myself. Okay, yeah, I can see that. It kind of reminds me of the movie 9. If you guys have ever seen that.
No.
Is that animated?
Gosh. Yes, we really should do another animation one. I think episode because 9 is phenomenal film. Phenomenal animation. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. One of the weirdest things about it is what's that guy who is always in stuff with Will Ferrell?
John C. Reilly.
Yes, he is a voice character, and I believe even perhaps a director of it. And it's so weird because, like, you know how Jonah Hill did mid-90s, and everyone was like, okay, Jonah Hill can, okay. It's the exact same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or 9 was maybe directed by someone else, but John C. Reilly wrote the script or something like that.
I think I remember the director was someone interesting.
It's got Christopher Plummer, John C. Reilly, Jennifer Connelly, Elijah Wood in it. Sorry, I'm just trying to see where the director is.
The director is not someone. They've done 3 films, and one of them may have been a short, and the other one came out a decade before in 1999.
I think it produced by the dude who did Coraline.
It was produced by Burton.
Right. That's fair.
Has anyone seen Big Eyes, by the way?
Big
Is that
Eye.
Amy Adams?
I don't know. I only know that it's Tim Burton's direction, I think.
Is it where she does paintings and then someone else like?
Yeah.
I think that's the Amy Adams one.
What did you think of it? Did you watch it?
No, I haven't seen it. I think it was one of those things that I maybe like recorded on the planner or whatever, and then didn't watch. Like I have like a whole catalog of films that I recorded like a year ago or a year and a half ago. I just didn't watch, but also didn't delete. It's actually
Good.
quite interesting. I think actually last time I checked, one of them had been on it for 2 years. Otherwise, I'm like, I'm going to watch this like it's on Film 4 or whatever, and then I just don't.
I remember Big Eyes. I had been seeing like images and posters of it, and I was really, really excited because I thought this looks like such an interesting horror film. I can't wait to see it. And then I saw the trailer, and it was very just biopic drama, and I was like, oh, and I didn't see it.
Yeah, I had the same feeling, but lately I've just been like, oh, maybe I should watch it. I don't know why, but yeah, I just want to get opinions.
Who's calling you about it?
I don't know.
The eyes, they call you.
Maybe. Because I have the same drive like Peter with all the movies that Devon recommended me downloaded in a torrent file, and I want to see Big Eyes.
God. Well, it's almost just kind of brings us to the end, really, because we've sort of said we were going to be on for an hour and a half, and we're pretty much. Does anybody have anything they wanted to mention and stuff before we head off?
I do have that. I will save that game until the next episode.
Oh no, we can do that if you want. Actually, I don't mind.
Okay, I haven't really got it very prepped, but
okay. I'd forgotten you'd said it. Sorry, I didn't mean to like tread on your foot there.
No, that's fine. Phil, while I quickly find it.
That's fine. The one thing I was going to say is that it's not a film, but I've started watching Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is an anime, and it's from the 1995. So good. So good.
I'm halfway through it, and I didn't finish it. I'm going to finish it, but I'm really bad at finishing animes. Like I start to get invested, and then something happens, and once I like stop watching it, I just don't go back to it.
I'm the exact same.
Quite easily. It happened with JoJo's Bizarre Adventures as well.
I really want to watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's my next one that I'm going to watch.
It's on Netflix, I think, or the first 2 parts. I really like the first 2 parts, and then like part 3. I think I got like most of the way through it and just decided it wasn't worth it. One of my friends said the manga part 3 is actually much shorter, and they just made it really long for no good reason. Like it's a huge amount of filler. It's like 40 something episodes.
Weird. You got it, Devon.
Almost. Like 2 more minutes.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I haven't seen it, but it really looks like Castle of Cagliostro, if any of you have ever seen that.
No.
Definitely watch Castle of Cagliostro. It was, I believe, Hayao Miyazaki's first film, and it's technically not a Studio Ghibli movie because I don't think he'd actually made Studio Ghibli at that point, but it's very weird, and he doesn't actually like it very much. Like when people interview him about it, he's like, I didn't really enjoy doing this. They just gave me a thing. I couldn't control anything about it. I just had to do it. But it's really funny and really weird and good. Okay,
so we obviously not many films have come out this year, and now all the cinemas are closed. So there is a chance that not many will ongoingly, and we don't really know when that will end. And of course, time moves on, and the Oscars are coming up, the 2021 Oscars, and I was just hypothesizing what would be the winners. So what I've done is I've compiled a list of 10 of the, the standout films from this year. The real kind of, they've made so much money, they've got so much acclaim, they're really kind of rising above the ranks. So the 10 films, and I've put them on the messenger chat so you can all have a look at them, are the number one grossing film of 2020. Just, absolutely. We had Avengers Endgame, and now we've got the new contender, Bad Boys for Life. The very breaking maybe one box office records, not left, not right, sort of off center. The second highest grossing film of 2020. We have, the masterpiece. People said it couldn't exist. People said it's right down to the 90s, but the 90s have come. Sonic the Hedgehog released and is the second highest grossing film of 2020.
What is 2020?
I want to cry.
At number 3, people after Suicide Squad, they just needed more. They just needed more of the DCEU, and that is why Birds of Prey shot to the top of the box office.
Wait,
and it's the third highest.
You have to say the full name.
Birds of Prey and the I don't have the full name. The Fantastically, the Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious of Harley Quinn. At number 4, I think Robert Downey Jr. had Endgame, and people thought that was his magnum opus, but he blew us away again. And Dolittle, a film carried entirely by the majestic acting of Robert Downey Jr., is number 4. At number 5, The Invisible Man showed that you can be made for $7 million and still be the 5th highest grossing film of the year. Call of the Wild shows that, people love animated dogs and less animated Harrison Fords. Onward shows that, people... Pixar. The Gentleman is absolutely Guy Ritchie's, goodbye Snatch, goodbye Lock, Stock, goodbye Sherlock Holmes. The Gentleman is the 8th highest grossing film of the year. Just Mercy is number 9. I would say something witty, but I don't know what it is. And then, of course, we have Fantasy Island, showing that you can be the 10th highest grossing film of the year with an F Cine score. And I can't remember the Rotten Tomatoes, but I will look it up right now. Fantasy Island.
I'm on it.
8%, 8 whole percents on Rotten Tomatoes. So, it's a real tough competition for this Oscars.
It kind of is in a way.
I thought we'd choose Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Actress, Best Actor, Best Visual Effects, and then Best Picture. So I'm just going to quickly make a table while you formulate your nominees.
Okay.
I want
and discuss.
Be actually realistic. Out of this, The Invisible Man is my vote for Best Picture. Because it's the only decent, it's the only good yet.
I have quite literally seen one of these films. which was Birds of Prey.
I've seen Invisible Man and Birds of Prey.
Oh no.
And
Peter, what have you seen?
I think maybe the same as Alex. I think I've only seen Birds of Prey and Invisible Man.
So let's judge by the trailers.
Yeah, Devon, which have you seen?
I have seen Birds of Prey and The Invisible Man, and the trailers for some of the others.
Yeah.
None of us saw Bad Boys for Life.
I haven't seen the other ones, so...
None of us saw Sonic. Sorry, what?
How is Bad Boys for Life first grossing movie? And of course no one saw Sonic. It's just not.
What is Bad Boys for Life?
It
It's
got
the one
good
with Will
reviews.
Smith, right? Will
Yeah,
Smith
it
and
is.
the other- and-
Oh yeah, it's like an action kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the third one. The first two came out in the early 2000s or 90s,
Hmm.
I think. And now they're doing a fourth one, but they can't call the fourth one Bad Boys for Life.
Why?
And I'm very disappointed in the studio for not capitalizing on this. It opened
They should call it Bad Boys Break Free, just to, just to mess with people.
I would say Sonic for best animation. Invisible
Oh, no,
Man.
it's just doing actress, supporting actor, actress,
okay.
actor, visual effects, and picture.
Actress, I want to say the girl from The Invisible Man, but my vote is gonna go to Margot Robbie because I just love her.
Okay, hold on. So that's Birds of
I
Prey.
want to vote for the guy who, for main best supporting actor. I want to vote for the guy who played the dog in Black.
Brilliant. Hold on. There's too much. Okay.
Too many
Let's
things.
do best supporting actress first.
Okay.
Okay.
Best
Um,
supporting actress of the year.
Can it be the girl from The Invisible Man, taking into account best actor and main character is The Invisible Man?
No, she was absolutely the lead.
Okay.
I should think about this.
I've seen in the trailers for Fantasy Island that I saw there is a woman in that.
Did she seem very supportive?
I couldn't tell you, honestly. But I literally can't think of anyone else apart from characters from Birds of Prey that's supporting characters. Like
I'd go for Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah, Mary Elizabeth Winstead was good. I think that the detective was pretty cool though.
Oh, what's her name? Rosie Perez.
Mm,
That's her name, Montoya.
yeah.
I liked
'Cause
her.
There's a kid actor in The Invisible Man, and she's really good, but I think the Academy doesn't allow like younger actors to be nominated.
Really?
Yeah, I have a weird feeling there's a rule about it, but they might give.
Oh, wow.
I think they've given like an honorary award for like rising star occasion, like very seldomly. It might have happened like twice in the history, but I do think they have a rule.
I've got to admit, guys, I'm starting to see the slight flaws in this game. We all have only seen 2 films.
We can go off
We have
trailers.
seen trailers, yeah.
Yeah.
We can be those people that go off of trailers.
Wait,
yeah.
you didn't... Isn't Color Out of Space one of the...
It wasn't in
came
the
out
top 10
last
highest
year.
grossing.
Oh.
And I think it came
Oh.
out last year, like officially.
Are we really going for? See, it's a tough choice for visual effects, actually, considering we've got Doolittle and Sonic the Hedgehog in this.
And Call of the Wind.
And very good. God, what will we pick?
I mean, if we give supporting actor to the dog,
That's true.
I would give...
But like Parasite got so many awards that, that
But we
Doolittle,
want to be a better Academy.
That's true. Yeah.
I would say Sonic the Hedgehog. If we don't have an animation one, then at least give it that.
What about best supporting actor for that guy that like screams at Sonic when he sees him in the trailer? When he's like, ah!
James Marsden.
Guy who
Meow.
screams.
Yeah. No! Oh my God, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah.
We should probably give it to him, right? Apparently he's
Although,
really good.
actually, what about Ewan McGregor in Birds of Prey?
I loved him.
Oh yeah, he was really good.
Yes.
Quite good.
that's-
Are we taking this seriously? Because...
Anymore.
I'm
I don't know.
confused.
We can go as serious as we can.
Should,
I need to cut this one piece of.
let's do. Maybe we just do silly.
Okay. Well, we have the supporting actor. I love how Kat is just cutting her right
Sorry,
it's just sorry, it's annoying me.
Okay.
Okay.
How about the way we do it is you guys message me personally your nominations for each category, and then I'll read them out and decide which one is the winner.
Can you repeat the categories? Because I forgot.
Best supporting actress. I'll put them in the chat. But best
Okay.
supporting actress, best supporting actor, Best Actress, Best Actor, Best Visual Effects, and Best Picture.
Okay.
And I'll just, I guess, pad this. I suppose we could edit it out depending on how good my padding is. So guys, I hope you're all having a good I'll pad and I'll talk about something that will be launching by the time this airs on Sunday. We will have launched a FilmSoc fundraising for Tyneside Cinema campaign, which will be kind of communally raising money as the Film Society for Tyneside in a big pot. And we have certain stretch goals that if we hit, we'll do certain things. And there's a bunch planned out, but the only ones that we've officially announced at this time are at, if we raise £100, then we'll have a big Netflix party and live video chat for everyone who's donated. And there'll also be a raffle prize. If you donate £2, then you get a raffle ticket. So for every £2 you've donated, if you donate £6, you get 3 raffle tickets. If you donate 20, you get 10. And we pull a raffle every time. So at £100, the raffle prize will be a Tyneside gift card and choosing the Netflix film for the Netflix party. And then we'll host a Netflix party. And then at £150, the raffle prize will be a pub quiz board game. And our communal event will be a pub quiz run by the Film Society online during this time. And I've been planning it, and it's been interesting because it will be a pub quiz in which you have Google at your fingertips. So none of the questions you are able to Google, or at least not to find the answer. You might be able to Google things that help you, but you've got to kind of figure it out in terms of the actual answer yourself. So it should be very interesting. I hope we hit that goal because I'm really looking forward to running it and see. And I hope that people can kind of get involved by, if you're with your family, then you can get your family involved too, and all kind of communally try and figure out the various questions together. We've also got goals for £200 and £250 if we make it that far, but we're kind of starting small and we're going to see how far we go. So there'll be info about that up on the FilmSoc Facebook page, as well as I think there'll be an email going around. So look out for that and donate however much you can. Tyneside is very beloved and we all want to see it reopen, but their various financial struggles over this time mean that they are at risk. So any amount of help that we can give them would be really appreciated.
All you and Issa, by the way, is like what's the word? Like idea, execution, like motivation. Like you deserve absolutely all the credit for this.
Thank you. Yeah, it should be fun. It should be fun.
I'm excited for it, definitely.
Oh, okay. Can Peter and Alex pad while I quickly fill in these? You will pad while I quickly fill these out.
I have put my things in.
I just sent my answers.
Yeah, I got them.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Alex, you watched Aliens, right?
I watched Alien.
Oh, but you didn't watch Aliens.
No. Aliens is like the next part. By the way, I rewatched Alien just to see if I found it horror. I don't think it's a horror. I still think it's a sci-fi.
I mean, can it be both?
Yeah, it's definitely sci-fi with horror. It's definitely sci-fi with horror details, but it's not a horror. It's just not.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's. I think I would. Wait, so is it like if you were to say Alien is a blank film of the blank genre, you would call Alien is a sci-fi film, not Alien is a horror film?
Yeah, I would say it's a sci-fi film.
Okay.
Which I know Devon doesn't agree very much because we've
Very
had this
much.
debate since
Very much.
September.
It's
Why do you
it's
argue about it though? This is just me being obtuse because like I can't understand why. I
I
don't know.
think the conversation was, I asked Devon what his top 5 horror movies were, and he said
Oh.
Alien, and I'm like, no, Alien's not a horror movie. Pick another one.
I see.
I think my oh, I can't remember. Sorry. My eventual, once I figured out what my opinion was, it was that a sci-fi is commentary about society, and the metaphor is a societal one, whereas horror is about an individual. It's a personal metaphor. Yeah.
I don't think Alien is a personal metaphor.
I mean, zombie movies are a societal metaphor, though.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
It is
Yeah,
true.
and I think zombie movies are generally more sci-fi than they are horror.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think some of them have a more sci-fi element to them. Like, going back to Resident Evil, I think they try to explain more about the virus and everything, but in terms of things like George R. Romero's Dead series, I don't know what to call it. Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead and all, it's not really explained. It's really just like a horror sort of thing. It's sort of both. It's about society, but then when they're all like, usually you find them like in trapped spaces, and then I think that's a more personal story. But it's also societal in that sense, because you're looking at like each person represents like a different type of person in a society and how that sort of functions, you know.
I think
Sorry.
Oh, bless you. The problem with society versus individual critique, you cannot apply that to the thing, and the thing is something everyone agrees is horror, and it's, I think, more social than individual.
Would you say that The Invisible Man is a horror?
Yeah.
Would you say that the story of The Invisible Man could have... Well, why would you say The Invisible Man is a horror?
1, it's scary. 2, the way it's shot, it's the intention, it's to scare you. I don't know, it's just a general feeling. How they did the montage, it just makes it a horror movie. And the story, it's just clearly not a bedtime story. I don't know, unless you're Edgar Allan Poe or Lovecraft.
Would you call The Witch a horror?
Here's the thing, The Witch is kind of tricky because I don't know whether to put it in a horror or historical drama.
It could be both, like historical horror.
Yeah.
And you know, I'd say The Witch is a horror film.
I think it's more of a horror film, but I would say it has parts of historical drama. But that's the thing, like, sorry, Kat.
No, you go, Alex. Mine's such a stupid thing.
The Witch is more of like a social critique than a individual critique as well.
Okay, I have the results.
Ooh.
Rumble.
Okay. So, and then I'm going to have to decide. So, for Best Supporting Actress, we have
The nominees are
Journey Smollett-Bell,
Who's that?
who was Black Canary in Birds of Prey. We have Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who was the Huntress in Birds of Prey. And we have Giraffe from Dolittle.
What actor played the giraffe?
I think it was somebody like, it was a really big name.
It would have been a really big name. That's why I asked, like, because like Tom Holland's in it, isn't it, and stuff like.
They were all. I'm checking now.
Is it way?
Oh no, it's the names. Which was the giraffe? Polynesia, Jip, Chi-Chi, or Betsy? Or Dab Dab?
Dab Dab.
Dab, definitely Dab.
Don't know.
Doolittle Giraffe. Let me.
I actually
This-
want to know who like this.
This is gonna be. There's gonna be so much editing.
I think Tom Holland was the wolf, and I want to say that the polar bear was John Cena.
Selena Gomez was the giraffe.
Oh wow.
Wait, no. She was Betsy, a friendly giraffe. Not
my
the
vote.
friendly
Who was it,
giraffe.
though? Who
A
was
one. There are multiple. I mean, I feel like all the actresses really brought their A game. It was the emotional range of them was all really good.
But does she have the range of the woman who played a giraffe?
I was a bit confused when Black Canary suddenly screamed and like Fus Rodard people away, and I was a bit confused when the giraffe. So I'm gonna go with Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Hey! You are the
She is our
Academy
winner.
For all intents and purposes, Devon. How does that make you feel at the moment?
What was that?
You are the Academy at the moment. How does that make
Oh.
you feel?
It's brilliant.
Finally, the recognition you deserve.
After all these years. Okay. So, best supporting actor, we have Jim Carrey as Sonic villain. Doctor something?
It's Eggman, isn't it?
Robotnik.
Eggman. Dr.
Robotnik?
Eggman. Robot.
Is it
Yeah.
I think it's both. Depending on the game.
Oh, cool.
Playing both. We have Ewan McGregor
The range.
playing Black Mask.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we have Dog from
Yeah,
Call of the
Dog.
Wild.
To be honest, I kind of see where they're coming from. This is the man who played the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I really think the man who played the dog, he really he bent over backwards or more forwards for this role. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Dog. Great nominations throughout. It was a real tough call, this more than any other year of the Oscars, really. So next we have Best Actress, and so for this we have our first nominee is Elizabeth Moss from The Invisible Man. Our second nominee is Margot Robbie from Birds of Prey. And our third nominee, this one's a real curveball, so I'm interested how this will play. It's Margot Robbie from Birds of Prey. I think Margot Robbie might get it. I know Margot Robbie also did a really good performance, but yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Margot on this one. So Elizabeth Moss also very good,
Bad
but
luck,
yeah,
Margot.
but Margot wins. My condolences to Margot. For Best Actor, we have Will Smith, because he deserves something. Was the little note attached. What was he in again?
Bad Boys for Life.
Yes, he was, of course. Yeah, Will Smith. He acts sometimes. We have and some of you may recognize this face, but you know, it really kind of sweeping the nominations. We have Dog.
Dog's not been nominated for Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor. That's
Both.
And
How
he
can that
won
be?
supporting actor.
I guess it was just it was such a good performance that, you know.
Mind blowing.
And for the third, we have The Invisible Man, or rather the Invisible Stuntman, the person who invisibled.
Arthur and the Invisibles.
That
And-
movie is great though.
It is.
It is quite a good movie, and looking through these, Dog was Dog for most of that film. So that was commendable. and Will Smith was Will Smith for most of that film, so that is also commendable. But I've got to say, for a lot of The Invisible Man, I didn't see The Invisible Man. He really kind of committed to the role, and I just couldn't see him for most of the film. So, Invisible Man. He's really challenging visibility throughout the world. He's real kind of bringing in his A game.
You guys seen the special effects video for The Invisible Man?
No.
It's so funny because it's actually just like a guy dressed all in green tossing Elizabeth Moss who's like onto the wire. It's just so funny. I don't know why, like, I didn't imagine someone would actually be there to physically toss her. I just sort of assumed she was on some wire and that she just like threw herself across the table.
I'm sure I've seen the wires, like in behind the scenes stuff. I didn't know there was a guy there too. Did they make a double Invisible Man?
It's so good.
Oh.
I thought there was no one. I'm quite surprised.
No, it's just like, that's a whole part of the budget, just editing him out. Like the great man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want
Okay.
a cut where they don't edit him out.
That would be brilliant. And if he's just like in the restaurant scene for the first like 20 minutes of that scene, he's just like at a table eating. It was his lunch break. Okay, we've got 2 more categories. And these ones, you know, we've had some real kind of close calls, contentious categories, but these really take the cake. So it's going to be really difficult to decide. So first up, best visual effects. Our first nomination is Sonic the Hedgehog. Our second nomination is Sonic the Hedgehog. But don't worry, because coming in at our third nomination is Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, I'll go through my full breakdown of the decision I made in the next show. We've got an hour and a half, so I can really go into the details. But just cutting to the chase, I'm going to give it to Sonic the Hedgehog. And then this is just going to be edited out, isn't it? It's a terrible section. It's taken like half an hour.
It's so fun.
I'm having a great time. Yeah.
For the best picture of 2020, we have